So this is Heather Lewis from Animal Arts, and I'm going to be talking to you about designing for Generation Y. October 15th, 2007 was an absolutely momentous day in American history. On that day, the first baby boomer filed for Social Security benefits. This signaled the beginning of a gigantic tsunami of baby boomers entering retirement age. How does this affect you as a veterinarian? Well, it actually affects you profoundly. People who understand retail strategy think that we have another 15 years of retail slump to go before things start really picking up. And this is because Generation X, which is my generation, is small and also doesn't spend money. This is a bad sign. So what can you do? Well, how can you really bridge this gap? How can you be successful? How can you grow your practice given this demographic? Well, you can appeal to Generation Y. Generation Y is the next thing. And I really mean that because it is the largest generation to date. It is the most educated generation to date. It is a very, very influential generation. These people, their birth dates start in 1982 and go to 2000. And so they're just beginning to get to the age where they're starting to consume goods and services. But what's interesting about Generation Y is they're very apt to consume goods and services. They care a lot about pets, and they're definitely going to consume veterinary care. So by differentiating yourself and appealing to this generation, you can then take the next step with your practice and be successful and build for the future. So how is Gen Y different? Gen Y is very different. They were the first generation to be born with and raised with technology, which actually makes them think different from any other generation. They really do come at the world differently from other people. They're very educated. They are slow to make commitments, and this is because they know too much. They know all of their choices, and they can choose between those choices. They're visually sophisticated. Some would call them privileged because they were raised by the baby boom generation. They're very close to their parents, and they're actually very close to their communities. They tend to be liberal in politics, but actually very conservative in terms of their view on families and community. So for you, you need to focus on three things with developing your new veterinary hospital: technology, service, and authenticity. I want to take technology to the next level. We talk about technology in sort of broad terms, but I want to take it down to its essence. What is technology? Technology is about reaching out to clients. It's about connecting, and it relates to the service. So, okay, you have a website. What is that website really doing for you? Is it reaching out to your clients? I want to go way, way beyond that. Your clients ought to be able to, on their iPhones or iPads or whatever they're using, be able to log in, schedule an appointment without talking to you, text you, email you, download information from the web. Remember, these people have apps that tell them what is wrong with their pet. Okay, there's an app for that. There are lots of apps for that. You need to be the resource for your next generation, your Generation Y, or you will lose them, and you will lose that conversation that you can have with them. So think about technology and how it relates to service and how you relate to those clients. With service, I'd like to focus on the thought about what your reception staff does and what are your supporting staff doing for you. And let's explore the concierge concept. A concierge at a hotel is a person that is indispensable for anybody who is a very busy business traveler. That person can arrange all kinds of things. We understand that concept. What if we take that concept to the veterinary hospital and we have a concierge in the veterinary hospital? That person may be a technician or somebody who's trained enough to be able to interface with the clients. That person can be the middle person and take a lot of the front-end bureaucracy out of the veterinary hospital by interacting with clients on a daily basis. So I'm going to email the concierge or text the concierge and say I need to get Fluffy in because he's still sick. Okay, so that person starts the conversation and keeps it going. So by the time the client actually arrives at the veterinary hospital, a lot of the legwork is done. Your front desk can be smaller then. Your reception desk can be smaller. You can move clients right along to the waiting area, and more importantly, you can deliver better service to them. The concept of the concierge is a person that you can use as an intermediary between the client and the doctor. That person is there to constantly talk with the client and keep up the communications. So the concept in the new veterinary hospitals that are designed for Generation Y is a lot more direct communication with the client. So you're constantly emailing, constantly texting. Of course, this can bring up some concerns about documenting communications, but that can be done. But the idea is that because this person, this concierge, is constantly in communication with the client, there are no surprises when the client comes in the door with their pet. They've already had the conversations, they've already established the relationship, you know why that pet is there, and they have much more loyalty to the practice because they feel like they can talk to somebody all the time about what's going on with their pet. When they come in the door, then they can go almost directly to the exam room, saying hi to the concierge, or maybe being escorted by the concierge to the exam room, and that can drive down the size of a waiting space. Secondly, authenticity is extremely important to Generation Y. They have grown up with all kinds of big companies that have been downsized and reshaped and reformed. They have a lot of access to information and they're very educated. So in appealing to this group of people, you need to be consistent with your message, your brand, who you are, and you need to show commitment to your community, to animal welfare, and to the environment in order to appeal to them. So think of this as a bit of the Aveda model. You don't go and just buy hair product. You save the environment at the same time. And you can take this concept into the veterinary hospital, and as simple as it sounds, it really does work. And if it's something that you believe in, you have to be authentic about it. But if it's something that you believe in, then selling who you are is going to make the sell, is going to keep those clients engaged and happy to go to that hospital over any other. So here's a great example of connecting with the community. Here's a waiting area that's being used also as a AV area or place to show a slideshow. So maybe you've got things going on, education for your clients, maybe you host a little event. This is how people connect these days. They connect virtually, and then they go to a specific place at a specific time for an event. You've heard of a flash mob, which is kind of the biggest example of that, but this is a small example of a flash mob. Maybe you get everybody together for wine and cheese on Friday and talk about pet behavior problems. Whatever it is, connect with them. Care for their pets. Care deeply for their pets, because somebody who can text his friends or upload to his social media page his opinion of how you're caring for his animal and tell everybody, 700 people, in 5 seconds what he thinks, that person ought to have really, really good care for that pet. So on the left there you see a picture of a dog in a little room instead of a cage. And there's a webcam where the client can log in and watch him from Cabo San Lucas or wherever he is. In conclusion, break down the barriers between you and your clients. To really appeal to Gen Y, this is not a generation that's going to accept barriers to communication, physical barriers in the hospital, manifestations of bureaucracy. All of those things need to be thrown out the window. Think about the person you're talking to who has a lot of access to information, who's very educated, who is opt to go somewhere else. On the other hand, the power of this generation is just immense. This is a huge, huge group of people. And if you can speak directly to them, if you can sell to them, then you will make your future secure.